Good morning, good afternoon, good day, good evening, depending on where you're watching us from. I'm delighted this afternoon to get an opportunity to watch for you to come and catch up with you guys. It gives me so much pleasure to come online this afternoon, and it's just at the back end of a challenge that I've been doing, and I thought, why not just come and share my journey? And I'm so delighted to see some of you online. I'm delighted to see Kevin, a dear friend, a dear family friend. And I know there are others as well. It's just that they are hidden. They don't want to talk about or to let us know who they are. And Kevin is a runner. He runs much more better than I do. And he's amazing. And hopefully, in between, he might chime in something in the chat or give some advice, who knows, and maybe I might do a duet with him just to kind of learn from him some tips and tricks about running, because obviously he is really good, and he also has a channel. I'll talk a little bit about that at the end of the day, and definitely I think it might be worthwhile Kevin and myself doing something. So without wasting much time, I'll start by just introducing myself, saying who I am, and also saying why is it that I've decided to do a live today, because obviously it's Friday and I love doing Fridays. Fridays are my days when I do my main video production. So I've had people asking me questions like, when do you upload videos? So I'm going to come to that in a minute, but for now, let me begin by a little introduction of myself. My name is Claire. I am a registered nutritionist. I am a mother. I am a wife, and I'm delighted to be privileged enough to teach in a local university in England. So I am a senior lecturer. So I do day-to-day living is my work that I do is teaching, and I love teaching students. I love doing so many different things with students, and that is one of the things that has actually motivated me to start a channel. And actually, when I think about my YouTube journey, it's a bit funny because during the pandemic, there's a time when we go to a point, and I remember my dear friend Isabella, she was here it was last week actually, and when it was announced, the government of the United Kingdom announced, the Prime Minister announced and said, guys, we are going into a lockdown. That means from Sunday, that's the last day, you're not allowed to go out to intermingle. I was with Isabella on a Friday, and I was like, oh my goodness, I'll see you on Monday. And of course, I never go to see her on Monday, because on Monday we were catching up saying like we have to do a Zoom teaching and thinking about Zoom and everything. And in between that, people were trying to figure out, how do we make our teaching more accessible? How do we record videos and things like that? So I started a channel, a YouTube channel then, but I was just not interested in making it public, because I thought, you know what, there's so much criticism out there. I had got myself out of social media. I'd been off Facebook for about 12 years in the background, but not officially very active on Facebook. And I thought there's no way I'm actually going to get myself back into the world of social media, because as you will know by now, it can be a bit challenging. So eventually I started uploading videos on YouTube, but I was just doing this and sharing as unlisted, so that whoever that had the link can be able to access it. Obviously, mostly my students were the ones who are accessing my videos. And I started off with the video on SDS page, which now is going close to 6,000 plus views. And I started just explaining to students, saying like, guys, you know, this is how you can analyze your data. This is how your picture looks like. And then as time went by, I was talking to one of my sisters, and she was talking to me about YouTube. And I was like, I am on YouTube, but I'm not very active. And she was like, why not? You can actually be active and contribute towards people knowing their knowledge on different things that you know. So that was the catapulting point. I was like, oh, well, I'm going to try to make it public, and the rest is history. And over time, like maybe over the last 2 or 3 months, I've actually started kind of in a way to have the hunger and thirst in me to kind of share my knowledge with other people, and not just keep it to my students or to keep it to the elite few that can be able to access it. And so I started to think, and I said, maybe one of the best things that you can do is by trying to run challenges. And of course, when I do these challenges, it's not mandatory. It's not a requirement for you to watch me on YouTube or for you to follow me. I'm now on Facebook, just like putting a plug in for myself. But please don't come in. Just send me messages for the sake of it. But I would love to connect for sure. So that's how I ended up saying to myself, like, if I can be able to challenge myself so that when I'm talking to people about weight loss, I can actually talk from the place and be an example, be a motivator, and be somebody that someone can relate to. So that's how I started running challenges. And this has been my second challenge that I've been running. So the first challenge I did was just like 7 days, and that was like bong on, full on, because I decided, and for those that are joining, I just said if you can drop in the chat and just let us know where are you watching from and just say hello to us, that would be amazing. So I started the first challenge and I just said I'm going to do 5,000 steps or 5 kilometers. If you've been following me even for a minute or for a couple of minutes, you will know that I don't really go for long runs. I do one long run once a week. So I try to aim for 10 kilometers run once a week. But during the weekdays, most of the time, most of the week, my main goal is to do 5 kilometers. So I was doing 5 kilometers, which can translate to plus or minus 5,000 steps. And I just like whoever that wants to join me with our 5,000 steps, they can be able to join me. So on my Facebook group, where you can find it by going into the About on my YouTube page, you will see the group for the Facebook. I'm trying to make it a closed group because I really want to use it to kind of motivate people into healthy lifestyle. So you might want that's something that you might want to check out for. So I was in that group and I just decided I'm going to go live every single day. And I was doing like almost sometimes an hour of just talking about different things. And I did this for 7 days. So every single day I wake up in the morning, early in the morning when my family is still asleep, I lace up, off I go for a run. And so in the evening, I'll come back and come online and talk about some different things. So I did this for a couple of days, which is amazing. I ended up seeing so much growth as well. I saw so many people joining the tribe, which was kind of, again, encouraging. As you could imagine, that this is something, of course, you're doing it for yourself. But when you realize that other people are also following in, and there were so many messages, people were kind of thinking about mindful eating. People were drinking more water. People were moving more than they had not naturally moved, which is kind of really as well encouraging. And one of the things that also really made me happy is I've just been receiving a message. I received a message not a long time ago from a dear friend of mine who was telling me, Claire, from that challenge, you gave a shout out to me. So she was doing like 6,000 steps and more, walking more, drinking more water, being mindful about their feeding. And eventually they have actually in 1 month lost 5 kilograms. I was like, wow, that's amazing. Another dear friend of mine sent me a message saying like since February until now, they've lost almost 28 kilos, which is kind of really a lot. And it reminds me how I was able to lose 10 kilos within 6 months without really doing much, but just shifting a little bit some of the things that I was eating, etc. And that's one of the things that I just want to highlight today as I bring these, as I talk a little bit about my second challenge that I've been doing, which ended today, and talk a little bit about what holds for the future of what I want to do. So following that, I was just thinking like last week as I was going for a run, I thought I do 5 kilometers run every single day, most of the days, and then 10 kilometers plus or minus when I have an extra time. But then I was thinking like at the end of the day, Claire, why can't you try to think about a challenge to improve yourself? If I'm doing only 5 kilometers every single day, for those of you who are runners, Kevin is in the house, can tell you it gets to a point, even not just necessarily running, you might be going to the gym, and because your body is gets to a point, your muscle, it's called muscle memory, isn't it? Your memory, it kind of remembers everything. So it gets to a point like when you're doing any exercise, it just can't feel anything. So you don't end up getting any much benefits from you being able to do an exercise because muscles get used to it, and it gets to a point it's just like a repetition. And I was thinking when I was running, I always aim to do 30 minutes and do 5 kilometers in 30 minutes, which for me is okay. I'm in my comfort zone, I'm enjoying it, but I want to challenge my body to come out of that kind of comfort zone, to kind of say, hey, Claire, you can do better than this. You can come out of that shell, you can come out of that cocoon, and kind of, in a way, encourage myself to say, hang on a minute, you are doing great, but how much can you do? Can you push yourself a little bit further? Can you push yourself a bit more? Which limit can you be able to go? So as I was coming back from a run in the morning, I thought, Claire, this sounds a bit crazy, but we are going to do a challenge. And I was like, what are we going to call this challenge? I decided, I was like, make today better than yesterday. Sounds really nice. Where did it come from? I have no idea. So I said, okay, we're going to try to make today better than yesterday. So I started off with about 27 minutes of running 5 kilometers. When I was back in Coventry, we used to do what are called the park runs. A colleague of mine used to go most of the Saturdays, and it's just like thousands of people coming together, and there's the start line and the finish line and everything in between. So you go at your own pace, wherever you want, as long as you finish, and then at the end of it, or you get like a time. They'll tell you in your category, women within this age, you came number so and so. This is how you ran, etc. So when I was doing those park runs, I could come most likely to around 25 minutes for 5 kilometers, but I never did anything more than that because I was just like, I can't do it. So the first time when I started, the second day I went for the run and I was like, oh my goodness, so I can actually do better. So every single day has been an encouragement. I've always told myself, today must be better than yesterday. And then I decided, I was like, I can keep it to myself. After all, it's my life, it's my lifestyle. Why should I start telling so many people about it? Who cares anyway? But then I got to a point I realized the moment you tell somebody about something, at least for me, it gives me that desire to be accountable to that person. Not necessarily accountable, but there's that motivation. I'll constantly tell myself, and again, I can see more people joining. Just if you can put it in the chat, if you're okay with that, just to let us know where you're watching us from, and just say hello. We are hanging out. It's a catch up. It's not like something so serious. I don't have a panel or panelist that I'll start to say like very well, you know me. Anyway, so as I was continuing, I was thinking like when I put it out there and I say we are doing a challenge, it means I will need to come back and say how are we doing with the challenge. It means like whether I like it or not, I will have to kind of talk about it. So I decided and I said, when we're doing this challenge, Claire, we will do it differently. We will do it with a community. And that is some of the things that I highly usually recommend. I say, who are you doing life with? Because who you're doing life with really, really matters. So I said, I'm just going to come. So I've been doing like postings a few times a day, maybe probably too much, more than I should. But then I've been doing as well, updating, like I would say, today I ran 24 minutes, tomorrow, etc. And that has kind of kept me in momentum because I've heard people telling me, Claire, how do you keep motivated? How do you manage to do this for the long time? And when I look at exercise for me, I'm not looking at exercise. I usually say for me, my life is not like is not a sprint. I'm not doing this for 2 minutes and then I'm done. I want to do this, God giving me the grace. And if I'm alive for many, many years to come, and the only way you can be able to do that is by being consistent, is by being persistent. So when I started off the first day, I kept on encouraging myself. In between, there being voices of discouragement. I mentioned a little bit, like I picked up a message and I just allowed it. I'm very much somebody who tells myself every time, don't think about what people say about you. But for some reason, I just kind of, one day I was just running and I was thinking about, why would even somebody start who doesn't know me start labeling, start talking about things? And I thought, like, what did I even do to offend this person or to make this person start to? It was one word that they used in a message. I was like, wow, that was quite, because I didn't know the interpretation. And to be honest, the word can mean anything. But I was like, was it they were driving at something or were they referring to me? And as I was going through that, processing it, it made me obviously thinking like, why am I doing this? Why am I even putting myself into the limelight? I'm comfortable being in the background. I'm a very happy person. When I am at work sometimes and we are in meetings, I just want to stay in the back. I don't want to say anything, because at the end of the day, I'm like, I'm better off not saying anything though, saying something and it looks silly and it looks funny. So anyway, I just kept on saying like, it's fine, I'll keep on going on. And then in between, in the UK at the moment, it's been really raining. So I've had to contend with the weather. I've had to contend with, again, like self-doubt, thinking like, can I be able to do this? But I thank God because of the grace to continue keeping up. And so today I just thought I'm going to come online, talk a little bit, I've shared a bit of experience. Why do I love doing challenges? Why have I done this challenge? So there was a backstory to it, trying to improve. And I can tell you, I've seen so much differences. From the beginning, I started off, as I said, with 27 minutes. I've ended up today was a little bit slow because it was the last day. I'm a bit tired, and you can see it from my eyes. When I'm tired, you just see like it gets me, like literally. And I'm grateful because that exhaustion makes me think about the weekend. So today I was telling my friend earlier on, when it hits, like when my little boy has finished his coding class, I'm gonna go straight into bed because I'm really exhausted. But this is something that has actually helped me. I feel much more alert. I feel much more better. Obviously, when I'm doing this, as I said, I'm not doing this for weight loss, because at this stage, I really want to kind of maintain my weight rather than losing weight. But obviously, I've dropped off a few. And I know for sure if I was to do some measurements like anthropometric to look at maybe my fat, body fat, definitely it will have gone down because of the intensity of the run. And when you're doing this intensity, I've also learned to love how to know how to breathe, because sometimes I just breathe for the sake of breathing. But I've now been breathing a little bit more intentionally, breathing like, running and thinking like, breathe in and then through the nose, breathe out through the mouth. That has been like an exercise that I've been learning quite a lot. In the nose, in the mouth. And of course, I have run, like I was looking at one of the apps that tracks my running, and it's saying so far I've run like 1,015 kilometers from the beginning of this year up to now, which obviously is not, for some might be like, for Kevin, it'll be like nothing. I walk through the park. But for me, it's quite an achievement, because I usually do like 2023, I'm supposed to do 1,023 kilometers for the whole year. But I've actually done 1,000 and almost getting to the target before I still have 4 months to go, basically. So now that's what I call the principle of redeeming time. This, whereby at the end of the day, I set up the goal to run 1,023, but because I've actually collapsed time, by whenever I got time, I was able to go out there, I was able to run, I was able to fix in all these challenges, which have actually kept me in momentum, and I've managed to collapse time. Now I'm sure I will exceed my goal of running 1,023 kilometers, simply because we are in 2023. So that's how I kind of set these targets, and this is how I've kept myself motivated. Well, Kevin has just done 124.3 miles this year. Well, you still have so much time. You can still catch up with that. And I usually say I'm not really good in, I'm a metrics person, so I have to convert that, my dear friend Kevin. Well, somebody says this is the worst stream ever. That's okay. That's still, of course, some what is it, some feedback, and we appreciate from that. And for sure, you don't have to watch it if you don't want to watch it. Nobody has forced you to be there, for sure. And we do appreciate the fact that you can give us some feedback as well. So as I was saying, like, as I continued going through the journey and as continued doing the things that I needed to do, that has continued to kind of in a way encourage me, that has continued to be like a motivation. And at the end of the day, I'm so grateful that I got to this end. So as I just talking a little bit about this whole experience, and kind of in a way encouraging new people, talking a little bit about my journey, as I was reflecting on this whole challenge that I've been doing, I just thought about one thing, and this thing has actually kind of, I thought I'm going to just share it a little bit with you guys, because it's one of those things that people usually ask me quite a lot. How do you stay and how do you keep motivated? And I was thinking, like, life really calls for a lot of discipline. There's a lot of like, you need to pump in so much energy, you need to pump in so much discipline, so that at the end of the day, you will be able to overcome the goals that you set for yourself. One thing that you have to understand is that I usually say this, and I wrote it down, so I'm going to try to read it so that I don't I don't miss out on anything. I said one of the things that when it comes to investing in health, that's something that you're doing for you. I can want to really invest for somebody in their health. I can want to help you lose weight, for example, as a nutritionist, or if it is Abby who is doing a life coaching. But that's something that I can never be able to implement it for you. You have to do it by yourself. I can motivate you. I can be an example for you. I can set a goal for you. I can set wherever it is. But remember, the person who needs to do the work, or the person who needs to put in the work, is you. Nobody else can ever be able to do an investment when it comes to your health, when it comes to looking after your relationships and things like that, except for yourself. And so life calls for a lot and a lot of discipline. Life calls for you being able to get to a point and telling yourself, no matter what happens, I have to keep on going over and over again. One thing that I usually say is look at it this way: life or health investments are not something that you're doing it for today. You're not doing it for, as I said, it's not a sprint. It is something that is done for the long time. And I was listening to something yesterday. I was watching a challenge yesterday, owning your future. And this person was saying, you know what? The most important thing, and I've seen that question, Kevin, I'll answer it in a minute. And if you have any questions for me, of course, put it them in the chat. I'll be more than happy to answer them as I go along. They were saying the best time to plant a tree is 5 years ago. And I would love to say, use this to say, the best time to invest in your life, in your health, was 5 years ago, or so many years ago, so many months ago. But they said, if today is the second best time to do the investment or to plant the tree. And this is like, for me, a challenge to say to you guys, today is the best time to start. Don't wait for tomorrow, because tomorrow never comes. Start it today. Don't look back so many years back and try to think, why did I not get it done? Why did I not start? You'll start to look back and you will begin to feel a little bit like discouraged and thinking that at the end of the day, thinking, why did I do that? Why? Because at the end of the day, the most important thing to realize is that you have to start somewhere. So I've seen that message saying, all running is long for me. You don't have to run. You can actually walk. The thing is that because we think the way to exercise is the way somebody does it, everybody's journey is different. My journey is different from my dear friend Kevin, from my dear friend Alex, from my dear friend Harry. Everybody's journey is so different, and it's not a one fit all plan that you say you must do it this way to be able to end up with these results. It calls more for discipline, it calls more for dedication. And when you do that, consistency, I am a strong believer in consistency. So as you're doing it, it might just be going out for a walk. If you have a dog, it might be taking your dog out. I have this gentleman, he might be in his early 70s or something like that. Every single day I go out to run, few minutes to 6. He's walking outside. He's not running, but he's walking, and we say hello, hello to each other, and we go our way. So it might be maybe walking, it might be biking. Some people enjoy swimming. You just have to start somewhere, and you have to do something. So coming back to what I've been doing, to the challenge, so that I can answer Kevin's question. What was my diet during this challenge? Mostly when I am doing these high intensity exercises, I fuel a lot on protein, but I also love my carb. There's a time I did a very short clip saying protein versus carb, which one is good for exercise. And because I love to I don't want to have, it's called sarcopenia. I don't want to have wasting of muscles. I still want to keep my muscles. I still want to keep my bones when they are old. When I'm older, I don't want to have osteoporosis. And obviously, I am on a dairy-free diet. So what I've been doing is I pump in my protein after the run. So I can have like a breakfast cereal with lots of soya milk on it. I love soya compared to the other plant-based milks because soya has a more higher, better protein profile compared to any other thing. And of course, I have a very busy schedule. So most of the time, I just sometimes end up picking up a packet of milk from the shop. So I look at it like I need to get my protein, I need to get my calcium, I need to get my vitamin D. And for me, soya really works so well. So I have my protein, my cereal, and my protein shake as well to kind of in a way help with the muscle recovery, to help me get my energy that I lost back. But also towards the end of the day, I pump a lot of carbohydrate. I'm not afraid of carbohydrates. If anything, I think I'm a carb addict. So I kind of have to restrict myself from eating too much carbohydrate, but I feel like I need to fuel up. So, and that's how I do it before so I get my energy in, like lots of carbohydrate the night before, so I'm allowing my body to be able to process that so that in the morning it fuels me up, so that after the run I get all my proteins in. I love things like soya. I mean, again, I can make anything with soya. I can make soya omelette. I mean, give me soya anytime. I'll be able to turn it around for anything. Obviously, as well, I really love my fruits and vegetables. So every time I'll always have like bananas around. So when I come back from a run, quickly have like a banana to restore my energy as well with my protein shake. I have like oranges all over dotted. I bring them to the office. So in between, I snack on this. So because I was telling a friend of mine, there's no point in spending a lot of time going to run and so much energy and then going back into eating crap in, crap out. So whenever I do challenges, for example, I also challenge myself to eat more healthy, even though it's a day-to-day challenge that I do to tell myself you have to kind of lead by an example and not just do it the other way around. And then, so the other thing, just going back into some of the reflections that I was thinking about as going on with this challenge, there have been days that I've been scared of so many things. I've been scared of oversleeping. I'm an early bird. I love going to bed early and then waking up early. So I love to be out before 5 in the morning so I can do my morning prayer, do all the things that I need to do before the beginning of the day. And sometimes I just found myself like scared, thinking like, oh my God, what if I don't manage to get tomorrow better than today? What if I fail? What if there've been so many voices, as I say, like so many things that are there to kind of discourage you along the line. But I've kept myself encouraging myself and saying, whether I am scared or afraid or not, I will still do it. I've done it messy. Sometimes I've gone running and I've thought, what was that? Why did I even do like, sometimes I've told myself I want to try to ensure that I am kind of breathing correctly and in the right way. And then I got in between. I'm like, oh, Jesus, I ended up breathing the wrong way. And of course, at the end of the day, it doesn't have to look pretty. It doesn't have to, like, as somebody was saying, they don't like running, but you can do whatever you want to do. If you are scared of people looking at you, sometimes I've gone to run because we live close to a town center and I run through the town center. Sometimes the only time I have to be able to go for a run is like in the middle of the day, and there are people full on the streets, and I'm like, I'm minding my own business, getting myself done and dusted, sorted out so that I can be able to move with the next things that I need to do. So again, it's one of the things I tell myself, do it scared. If you're afraid, still do it. Do it, do it messy and do it imperfectly. That is one of the things that I've realized. Like when the weather is perfect or the weather is not perfect, you can still do it. Whether the time, when the time allows it, whether you are a perfect runner or an imperfect runner, still do it. Perfection will always hold you back. You'll find telling yourself, like, if you wait for the perfect day will never come. If you wait for the perfect sport will never come. If you wait for the perfect weather, perfect day, those days will never come. But no matter what, I'm just here to encourage you, as this is something that I've been telling myself for this whole week. No matter what, you just have to do it. Do it scared, do it afraid, do it messy, do it imperfectly, but you've got to do it. And I had a friend of mine posting something today on the channel, which was really encouraging. They said something along the line like, the best investment one can ever do is on health. This is the foundation of all the investments. I've always said, don't waste your healthy years looking for wealth that you have to use your wealth to try and get your health back. This is an opportunity that we have, that we can actually invest in our health. We can invest in those years so that when we are older, we can be able to go back. I usually say, when I teach my students, I say to them, look at it this way. You're putting something in the bank. You're depositing every time you go out for 5,000 steps or for 2,000 steps, whatever thing you're doing. Every moment you go out, that moment is an investment you're doing. The investment might be, 10 minutes, 20 minutes, but when you are older, you go back to that investment and you'll be able to reap the benefits. I want to be able to carry my grandchildren, if I ever have some, whenever I'm older, because I've been able to look after my health, to look after myself very much in a better way. I have a family history of diabetes, and that's one thing that I'm very, very aware of. And I'm always constantly telling myself, I want to be able to look after exercise, be able to eat foods that don't contribute towards issues, so that at the end of the day, I will be able to get myself becoming better and better and healthier in the long run. So one of the other things that I was thinking, many people have run so many races, so many marathons in their minds, in their heads, but not ever gotten the chance to do it physically, because you can become very good in doing whatever you need to do mentally, but when you don't give yourself or allow yourself to be able to do that physically, it's as good as a waste of time. So don't just run those challenges. Don't just challenge yourself. And as I'm saying, for me, I love challenges because they take me out of my comfort zone into a new place. And one of the things that I love is, when you do something, people have been asking me, how do I start? Start somewhere. Start the way you want to start. It might be, maybe, as I said, walking, just as Abby was telling us last week, maybe a few steps and then coming back, whichever way. But they say it's scientifically proven, if you want to establish a habit, you need establish it or destroy it, you need at least 21 days. So if you commit to 21 days of constantly telling yourself, I'm going to go out and show up and do something for my health, you constantly push yourself and say, I will do a little bit more until you get to the 21st day. It gets to a point where it becomes part and parcel of yourself. Many of us want these quick fixes. We want, if I came here today online and said, I'm going to show you 10 ways of losing 10 pounds in one day, I know many people will be full on the stream today, because we want quick fixes. But then, if you want to be successful at something, it will call for lots of determination and hard work. And I believe strongly, if you invest in, let's say, losing weight through exercise, it is something that will become part and parcel of you. Because one thing that they say is, it takes 21 days for you to form a habit, but it takes 90 days for that habit to become a lifestyle. So you might want to think of, like, if I haven't gotten it to 21 days, why am I giving up? It won't be a habit yet. But once you get to 21 days, why not make it a lifestyle by deciding to continue until you get to 90 days at the end of the day? And of course, if you push yourself a little bit more, go beyond the normal, go beyond the things that limit you. And that's why challenges are good. It is something that will help you in the long time. And that's why, again, I do this maybe once or twice a month just to give myself an extra push and to move on. So as I'm bringing this towards an end, so if you have any questions, again, feel free to drop them in the chat and I will answer them. I'll give myself some time at the end to answer them before the end of this stream. So there are questions that I would like to ask you. Number one, you've heard of my story, which is not complete. I'll come back next week and weeks to come to talk a little bit about it more as I move on. One, what is holding you back? Or ask yourself, what is holding me back? So, Kevin, what is holding you back from doing more than 124 miles? I know you have had an injury. That could be a legit thing that is holding you back. But if you don't have a legit thing, it could be like Alex saying, running is not for me. But then you can do other sports. You don't necessarily have to run. Today, I haven't even touched anything to do with diet because I want to I've talked a little bit about what I eat during the challenge, but then you can as well still be able to lose weight effectively or maintain weight effectively by looking at what you eat and maintaining it healthily. I usually say it's as simple as energy balance, energy in, energy out. If it's equal, you maintain weight. If it is more than you need, you gain weight. If it is less than you need, you lose weight. So you can actually say, if I'm not able to go for a run or go for exercise, then why can't I watch what I eat? A man needs 2,500 calories, a woman needs 2,000 calories. You can easily see, am I eating when I'm serving myself, is it a big bowl of rice, is it a small portion? So that at the end of the day, asking yourself, what is holding me back? What are those excuses that are keeping me back? The other thing to ask yourself, who do I need? You need your community. I said already, we need to do life together. You can't do this sometimes on your own. You need a lot of discipline. Mostly I ran by myself, but I've talked about my story on Strava. I follow Kevin. Kevin follows me. When I run and he sees I've run, he leaves me a kudos. I do the same. For me, those are small things, small shifts that actually end up encouraging me and giving me the grace to continue because I'm like, well, somebody has appreciated. I told you of this gentleman that I meet every single morning and he'll say, hello. And I say, hello. I don't even know his name. And I've seen him for so many months since we moved down here. And it's one of those people that I count as part of this encouragement. And maybe that could be the reason why you're watching this, just to encourage you to know. Sometimes I was talking earlier to a friend and I was saying, if you want to go fast, go alone. That's amazing because you're competing against yourself. But if you want to go far, it is good to do it with community because you can't go far doing it by yourself. Ask yourself, when I'm going to do all these investments in my health, in my wealth, and etc., what do I need? You have to think about, do you want to lose weight? Do you want to maintain weight? Do you want to gain weight? Everybody's journey is different. The way our fingerprints are different, the way our faces are different. So our journeys and our stories are so different. And I can't talk of one particular story. I can only talk of one particular story, which is my story. But your story will be different. When you're looking at your story, what is it that you need? Who do you need to do that with? Who do we need? If you need a life coach, reach out for a life coach. If you need community, reach out for that community so that at the end of the day, you have the tools that you need. And so, going forward, what am I going to do? I am so challenged to continue doing challenges. And so this is what I'm going to be doing for the next couple of days. First of all, I've mentioned my dear friend Kevin. I've seen, as I said, I want to come back with him and we talk about running because, as I said, he's running for a professional club. He's really much more better with this than I am. So definitely something that I really want to do, something that I really want to spend time on and spend time doing it with him. So watch out for that. My friend Isabella and myself will be coming back again next week. So when we come back next week, we'll have another lunchtime talk and we look at different topics for sure, as we promise to do different things at different times. That's something, again, worth watching for. But for myself, what I want to do so that I keep in momentum, because I don't want to waste all the energy and the effort that I put in this 1 week. I'm going to do another challenge. And this challenge is to keep myself in momentum to ensure that I keep off the summer weight and things like that by doing a 30 days of intermittent fasting. Somebody will ask me, like, why do you want to do 30 days of intermittent fasting? Because they say it takes more than 21 days. So I want to challenge myself to do it more than 21 days so that it can become a habit. And if you don't know what intermittent fasting is, there is a video that I've made on it. You can scroll down and find it, but also there are so many people that have done videos on YouTube on intermittent fasting, and I don't want to really start reinventing the wheel to talk about it. Of course, there are pros and cons of watching. Wherever you're watching, it's better to do it from a professional point of view. But it's just like watching the window within which you're eating. So you can do 14:6 or 14:8, sorry, or you can do wherever that works well for you. I'm going to be talking a little bit about this as I go along. So I'll talk about it officially. I'll announce this official start date. Hopefully, it's going to be Monday next week. But in between, as I work through those details, I'll be sharing them as they come along. It's just kind of to ensure that you are allowing, because the problem is that we are eating so much more than our bodies need. And as a result of that, we end up storing energy. And that's how we end up with all these issues with weight gain and things like that. And as I said, I'm very careful to look after like my blood glucose and my blood sugar, because at the end of the day, my weight and things like that, as I said, to kind of just being aware of my family history. And so what I want to do is what happens when you do intermittent fasting is you're allowing your body to start to break off any of those stored energy before you start giving it a new energy. So some people encourage to allow your body to get into autophagy. I'm not going to talk much about that. It's too much science for me at the moment to start talking about it. But it's just kind of in a way allowing yourself to go for a little period of time, and then after that. So like typically what I will be doing is just I'll wait until maybe 3 or 4 in the afternoon to have my first meal, and then I just eat the rest of the meals as I want. And then when it comes to after 6 or 7, I stop eating until the next day. Look out for yourself, because you will know like your weight, your height, your goals and things like that. And if there's something that you want to join, I'm more than happy to continue to support, to encourage you. And it will look differently the way I'll be coming in and talking about the challenge, the way I'll be coming in and encouraging you people if you're joining, and of course so that at the end of the day we can do this together. So with that, I think I've basically given a summary of what I've been doing, why have I been doing it, and what am I going to be doing going further. And if there are any more questions, I'm more than happy. I'm just checking my charts if there's anybody who's left anything so that I can be able to answer. If not, we'll bring this stream to an end. And I look forward to seeing you guys again soon when we do the lunchtime talks with Dr. Nyambayo next week. And in between, continue watching. If you, again, as I bring this to an end, just to appreciate all of you who have continued to subscribe, who have liked our posts, who have shared our content, who have encouraged us by telling us about how we are impacting you. We really, really appreciate that. Thank you so much. And I think that's me. Unless anybody has a question, I'm just going to hang around for another 2 or 3 minutes. And if there's no other questions, I would like to thank you so much and honor you so much for the time hanging out with me this afternoon. I really appreciate that, and hope you have a lovely weekend, and hope some of you will be joining me on the challenge that is starting on Monday as we work together at encouraging ourselves to be better, to invest in our health, I'll talk about wealth later on and relationships later on, because I believe if your health is okay, the rest will fall into place.